Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by author Alice Readman. She is the author of the book, I Am Alice, Break Up, Break Down, and Break Through. It is a memoir about her life. So we're going to be talking to her about that and anything else that she's up to. So Alice, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Curtis, for inviting me. It's lovely to chat to you.
Well, why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Right. Well, okay. So my name's Alice. I put out my book this year, which is a memoir about a very life-changing experience. It was a very sudden experience when I was about to adopt a couple of children with my husband. And basically, he woke me up and told me he didn't want them the day before. So my life changed very rapidly. I had to create a whole new life from that. So that's what the book's about and how I managed to do that and all the tools that I used and already had. I always feel that we're prepared for what's happening in our lives. Even at the time, we might not feel like it, but all the things that had happened to me previous in my life came into play and supported me through this really difficult time. I mean, I'm not saying it was easy, but I did have some tools which we can talk about and what really helped me get through the experience. And to really be hopeful and to really trust that my life would be okay and I would come through this. And I was determined that I would live actually a better life than the one I was previously destined for.
Okay, well, before we get into those tools, kind of tell the listeners what got you into writing.
Yeah, writing. Well, I mean, I never had any idea about writing a book in my life, but after what happened to me, I had to write for myself. I was already journaling. Journaling is a fantastic tool to offload the brain and support me through this very isolating experience. So I just journaled and journaled, and it was through that journaling that gave me so much strength and power and insight that I felt like I really had to share my story. Obviously, it's taken me a long time to actually get around to it, but I wrote the first draft of the book about 9 months after my experience, and because I couldn't actually believe that had all happened to me. So I was writing it because, like, yes, that did happen. And if I don't write it down, I won't believe myself in a year's time. So I did it as a sort of therapy, but I also wrote it in chapters sequentially. And I knew at some point when I was strong enough and the right time that I would probably put it out as a book. Yeah, which I did this year.
Okay, well, tell us about some of the tools that you use to help get through that tough situation.
Right. Well, obviously, journaling, I was doing that every day because in my story, after losing the children, I had a sort of spiritual opening and, I felt very connected to a higher consciousness. And so I wrote about that. And also, I ended up a couple of weeks after the incident, I ended up getting sectioned in a psychiatric ward, which because obviously I was suffering from this grief, and they just decided they would put me into this place and drug me. And basically, I really had to write my way through that experience because I was in another state of shock, having my freedom taken away from me, being drugged, going through this grief. So writing really kept me in my body and it really saved me, I could say. I think journaling is such a powerful tool because you can express yourself, whether you're drawing, whether you're writing about what's happening to you, whether you're writing about what you wish for in the future, to have hope. Words are very important. Another about writing is that some friends of mine, some family friends that basically took me in for a week during that difficult period before I got sectioned in the hospital. He and his wife wrote me this beautiful letter, basically saying, that I would get through this. And it was, extreme set of unusual circumstances. But they said these really lovely things to me. And that letter I carried with me, and I would read it to support me, because sometimes I felt like I was never going to get out of the place, and so writing, writing to people and writing a letter to yourself, or when other people write you a beautiful letter like that, you can really hold those words and really allow them to resonate in your body, to say, yes, this is true. Yes, I have the power. Yes, I can do it. It's just, I've just got to get through, each moment, each day, each hour, depending how desperate the situation is. Another tool is singing, or sounding or humming. The voice is a very powerful tool. And I've learned a lot about sound healing since I've been living in Bali this last six years. And the power of sound, not just on the mind, but also on the body and in calming yourself emotionally, but also on every single cell in the body. Sound vibrates through the body. We are, I don't know, 70% or more, water. So when we have these healing sounds, or the sound of our voice, which I feel is the most healing sound, then it vibrates in the body and harmonizes the body, mind, and soul. Yeah. Another tool, I think maybe it's not so much a tool, but it's a way of finding what brings you joy in a creative, that's usually in a creative manner. And obviously for me, singing, I've learned instruments since then. I've done a lot of sound healing. So I feel sound in some way would be wonderful to get in touch with, to then reconnect yourself to yourself. And in reconnecting yourself to yourself, if you know what I mean, it then, allows you to connect to others. But we really need to feel connected to ourselves, going through difficult times.
Where you also talk about there are some gifts and having a spiritual or mental experience. So tell us about some of those gifts.
Yeah, I mean, I was told, that basically, from source or higher power, I was told that I would get through this experience. Early on, I was told it's okay, you're going to get through this, and there's a gift in your experience. So I really held on to that, and I really trusted that, because I was going through a huge opening, of my heart, and connected to higher realms. That when that came through, I was I was very grateful, and I really held on to that. I thought, yes, I'm going to make it so. I've been told that there's a gift in this, and yes, I'm going to find that gift. I don't know what it is. I've got no idea. I thought I was having this life with my husband, my children, and working as a graphic designer. And that's what I thought my life would be. So, yeah, I really held out for this gift, and I had really no idea what it was going to be. And now I see my gift is to support others through difficult times. And in doing that, I can, that's why I'm sharing my book and sharing the tools that have supported me, because chances are they might be able to help other people. And from people reading my book already, they've said that they've felt inspired, and it's really supported them, because they have also gone through difficult times, whether it's divorce or connection to children, whether they've lost a child, or like me, the adopted children, or had a miscarriage, or this whole thing about children and loss, and yeah, and the importance of connection. So for me, I had the connection of this spiritual experience which supported me, and and then finding connection with the right people that can support you through your difficult times. And then ongoing from that, finding a wider, even if it's just a small group of people that you can connect with on a deeper level, like-minded people that you can all support each other because they see you for who you really are and not the surface, not what kind of car you have or what kind of position you have as a job. They see your true self, or as much as as one can. Other people can see your true self. But yeah, finding those like-minded people that that you can really be yourself, your authentic self. You don't have to pretend that everything's okay when it's not. You can be, you can ask for support. And for me, maybe I think a lot of people asking for support is very difficult because we all want to seem like we're all managing everything. And asking for support can be, quite challenging.
Well, who are some of your favorite authors or books? Who do you use to get inspired to do your writing?
Well, I must say, I haven't really read books. I have read books, but I haven't read any to be inspired for my book because I think I just wrote it. I just wrote the story how it was. I didn't. But I tell you who I do. I am inspired by actually is people like Paulo Coelho and all those books that he wrote, The Alchemist, and or he's written many books, and they're always like going through these adventures, and that's how I see my story as an adventure story. Yeah, not well. It is a memoir as well, but it's more of an adventure. How I came through losing everything to being locked up to getting out, and it's like at times it's like I was in two realities. So I can see that with maybe Paulo Coelho's books, the spiritual side of it. And yeah. And the other book, 100 Years of Solitude by um I can't remember. It's I can't remember, Garcia Marquez. Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I think that's yes. 100 Years of Solitude. Yeah. Other books. I mean, gosh, I can't actually think of anything at the moment. But yeah, I read a lot of sort of self-help books and things like that. And yeah, but those two books, definitely those two authors, have inspired me, yeah, for sure.
Well, tell us about any current or upcoming projects that you're working on that people need to know about.
Yeah, my upcoming projects. Well, obviously, I've started a podcast now myself, which I'm really enjoying. I'm talking to people about creativity, connection, and how they find clarity in this ever-changing world that we live in. I think we all realize that change is actually all we have. Nothing stays the same. Every day is different, and our lives change, and it's always changing. So I love to talk to people about their transformation and what changed their lives and how they came into other gifts in their lives. So I started that. I'm working on a journal that's going to accompany my book to talk about all the tools that I feel help me, like finding creativity. Um, and I feel we're all here to be creative beings. So it's about finding that. And I've done lots of creative things, but I never really thought I was that good at being creative. But since I've been living here, I've been really inspired to be more creative. And it's just happened very naturally because I'm in a beautiful country, a beautiful island of Bali. And it's so inspiring, the nature, the spirituality, the beauty of this place. And so I developed a small range of jewelry, which has been inspired by my book. So yeah, just little silver talismans and some malas that I've just done because it's really connected to me and it just makes me feel good. And I do like beautiful things. So yeah, so I'm selling those. And very recently, well, I guess the last couple of years, I started playing harmonium. And like I said to you about how it's really important to use our voice and to express ourselves, because I'm sure, like many people, sometimes it's very difficult to really express how we feel. We kind of, well, I know I have done, especially in the past, and maybe still, it's like I don't fully say how I'm feeling. I don't fully express myself. But through singing and playing music, it sort of liberates you and gives you this freedom of expression. And whether it's improvised or or you're singing mantra. Yes, I mean, I forgot to say actually, during my difficult times, mantra was something that was very powerful for me. And I'd been singing a mantra for my children for 2 years. And so when I lost them suddenly, I sang that mantra to support me so I would sing it, during the first couple of the first week, I would sing it all night long to keep me in my body because I really thought that I was going to die. And so I really wanted to stay. And so I used this mantra to support me through those difficult times. And yes, and consequently from that, living in Bali, I go to a lot of kirtan and I've learned to play the harmonium, which I mean, I never thought that I would, but I did, and I love it. And it came very easily to me. And recently, I've started playing guitar. I mean, I used to play bass guitar in an indie band in the UK back in the 90s. And but I'd sort of put that all behind me, and I didn't have any intention of playing bass again. But I felt really inspired to get this little guitar. And recently, after going to this beautiful place, beautiful temple by a beautiful river, and swimming in this river with my friends, and experience this beautiful energy of Bali, I started writing songs, and a whole song came through after visiting that place. And I decided I needed to learn guitar to play it. So I've just taken up guitar. So, I mean, it's amazing how when you open the gates of creativity, so much more keeps on coming through to enjoy. And yes, I'm hoping to record that and to start doing some more sort of meditation music and that kind of thing. I've done a little bit, but I really haven't had time because I've had such a busy year putting out my book. It was it's such a transformational time to finally, after nearly sort of 8 years, to actually put out my book. It took me, I was still sort of hesitating, should I really reveal myself, because it's very, very honest, my book. And I'm such a private person. I was thinking, what am I doing this? People are going to read it. And yeah, it's been a busy year doing lots of creative things.
Well, I know that you are a private person, so why did you feel like it was so important to share your story?
Yeah, well, I mean, along the way in living in Bali, I'd met quite a few people that had also been sectioned in a psychiatric ward, and I'd gone through some experiences with them and supporting them. And I wanted to, by writing my story, I wanted to normalize the experience. I mean, when we go through very isolating times and suffering from grief and loss and other events in our lives, it takes us to a place that we've never been before. And the people, and we don't know how to deal with it. And we just deal with it best we can. But the people around us often feel, well, you're not acting normal, so I don't know what to do with you. Let's put you in this place where you're going to be safe. But what they don't probably realize is in that so-called safe place, to me, didn't feel very safe at all, actually. But to and then to be drugged to sedate whatever is going on, and then come out the other side. So I just felt I really needed to share my story honestly to support other people that have been in the same situation, or maybe people that haven't been in that situation that might end up being in a similar situation. And so what happened to me might actually help them, making different choices, and also maybe reaching out to the right people for help at the right time. My situation was very unusual. And, but I think by sharing it, because I know quite a few people really have also been in psychiatric wards, and they would never share their story because they don't want people to know, especially on a sort of, anyone could read the book. They don't want to share that because for whatever reason. I mean, there's a lot of shame and embarrassment and lack of control around your life to share that. I felt very judged by having been through that experience. But really what I actually learned through putting out my book and by sharing my story is that really the judgment was all on me. I was judging myself and therefore judging others that they would judge me. Because really, if people want to judge me, well, that's about them. It's not about me. And that's a quite a difficult one to learn, but I really learned that. I mean, people read my story and they say, oh God, that really helped me. I particularly like this bit and that inspired me, whatever. And other people might not like it at all, but that's okay. And it really has nothing to do with me, because when you read a book, you go through that experience with the book through what you're reading. And it's not about the person that wrote it necessarily, it's about your relationship to that experience. So so I've learned a lot by putting it out, actually. I mean, it's been wonderful having feedback from people, because that really made me realize that, yes, it was the right decision to do that. And if people don't like it, that's okay too. I won't take it personally. And I think that's a really big learning. We're all different.
Well, throw out your contact information so people can keep up with everything that you're up to.
Yeah, I have a website and it's called travelwithalice.com. And I also have Instagram, which is travelwith_Alice. And yeah, you can reach me there and see what I'm doing and living my life in Bali. Lots of pictures about my cat and things like that. But yeah, you can keep in contact there.
We'll close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe if that was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or just any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
Well, what I would say to the listeners is that really go for it in life, really, really dream your life about what you really want to do. I know it's sometimes you think, oh, writing a book and, selling your book, and, it seems like, a whole other world. I mean, for me, I would never have thought of doing that. But, it's like really dream up what you really want to do and how you really want to help others, because you'll be surprised how the universe can fall into place for you. I mean, I can't believe, if I look at my life thinking, oh, wow, I created my book, and now I did the jewelry, and now I'm doing a podcast, and now I'm playing music, and I've got so many creative ideas that I want to do. I mean, it's just like, it is infinite. So go for your highest choice and just write about it, imagine it, visualize it, really, why not? Daydream it. You've got nothing to lose. And maybe you might find a whole new world is out there for you.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, travelwithalice.com. Please be sure to check her out. Check out everything that she's up to. Pick up her book, follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. If you have any guest or suggestion topics, cjackson102@cox.net is the place to send them. As always, thank you for listening. And Alice, thank you for being courageous. Thank you for joining us and sharing your story.
Thank you so much, Curtis. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.